Hello, and welcome back to our 5e subclass rankings.
Hi.
I'm pretty convinced they're not going to release any more of these until the updated rulebooks come out, so I think we're good. These will be definitive rankings because they will never be true. Well, okay, no, it's probably not entirely true.
Unquestionable.
Unquestionable. Anyway.
I'm kind of questioning some of them already.
Yeah, well, me too, okay? I've had to compromise with you a lot. Look at all those B tier monks when they could all be an F tier like they belong.
Wow.
Don't
go off about monks again.
No, I won't. It's fine. Paladins, though. I suspect this will be our quickest one. Not because Paladins have no subclasses, but because they're all more or less the same. Paladins don't really get a whole lot from subclasses, which is fair because they're kind of broken without them. But, you know. Surum Vidica.
What?
You know, like the Brotherhood of Steel because they're Paladins.
Oh.
Yeah.
All hail the mighty shape.
Yeah, dude. Glory be to that, strange object in WoW that gives Paladins their power.
It's a square.
Yeah, I don't know, man. But, anyway, archetypically, yeah, sure, that's a word. I would say that Paladin's probably my favorite class. I don't know, I like it. I like the Crusader vibe, you know? Bringing justice to the frontier.
I wish I liked it more.
On those foul demons, sending them back to the hells from which they belong, you know? Begone, yeah. But yeah, they're cool. Yeah, and I suppose I'll start it off.
Go for it.
With the Ancients Paladin. The Oath of the Ancients is as old as the race of elves and the rituals of the druids, sometimes called Fey Knights, Green Knights, or Horn Knights. Paladins who swear this oath cast their lot with the side of the light in the cosmic struggle against darkness because they love the beautiful and life-giving things of the world. Not necessarily because they believe in principles of honor, courage, and justice. They adorn their armor and clothing with images of growing things, leaves, antlers, or flowers, to reflect their commitment to preserving life and light in the world. I might add tenets in post-production, but I don't know if I want to read them all, because, readings for nerds, but...
Damn.
Anyway, basically, as a paladin, what your subclass is doing for you for 90% of your playtime is, you get some spells, you get a channel divinity, and your, aura changes, depending on your subclass. I mean...
Yeah, but the thing across all paladins is your channel divinity is bad.
Yeah, they're almost always not very good.
And then your aura's actually good.
Yeah. And also, not only that, but you get spells, but, like, you don't use them, because you just use all your spell slots on Divine Smite. So...
Yeah. Paladins get very powerful features, class features, so their, subclass features aren't as exciting.
Yeah. But, you know, this one's pretty good as far as Paladin subclasses go. I mean,
their, channel divinity is bad as an action.
yeah, I mean... Nature's
can
Wrath and
use
Turn the Faithless are not very
Ensnaring
good.
Strike on someone within 10 feet of you, but you could also cast Ensnaring Strike
They
as
did sort
an
of
attack.
fix Paladin's channel divinities being kind of worthless in Tasha's, because you can actually just use your channel divinity to give yourself a divine smite back, so it's... So, honestly...
That's irrelevant here, okay? Their aura
is real good.
is everyone in your aura just has resistance to damage from spells, which is pretty strong.
Yeah.
Instead of your party getting fireballed and then you're all sad. Oh,
You
your
get
party gets
fireballed and
fireballed
you're
and
only a
you
little
laugh
sad.
it off.
Yeah, it's
So,
the aura warding's very strong. I think for a long time people said this was the strongest Paladin subclass just because of this. I don't know.
they also, at level 15, you can't be old.
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool.
Ancient Paladin.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you get stuff at 20. I guess technically there's a difference, right? Because some of them are just better than others, but essentially every Paladin at level 20 gets like a Super Saiyan form.
Yeah, some of them they're all kind of very similar, but some of them are just better. But they're all kind of just like, for a minute, you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Once per day.
For this one, you heal a bit. You can cast Paladin spells for bonus actions instead of actions. And creatures within like your melee range have disadvantage on saving throws against your spells. So, you know, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
If you have any crazy spells, you can make them work.
Pretty solid. It's a fun idea too, Oath of the Ancients. It's like kind of a druidy adjacent thing.
Not to mention, it's like
Paladin flair. It's kind of a neat combination.
it's like Fey related, and you're already a charisma class, so that helps as well.
Yeah, Fey are cool. I don't know. I'd put it in A.
Yeah, put it in A. It's a good class. Well, subclass, but yeah, cool. Oath of the Ancients. It's cool. Alright, on to Conquest, Paladin.
The Oath of Conquest calls paladins who seek glory in battle and the subjugation of their enemies. It isn't enough for these paladins to establish order. They must crush the forces of chaos, sometimes called night tyrants or ironmongers. Those who swear this oath gather into grim orders that serve gods or philosophies of war and well-ordered might. Some of these paladins might go as far to consort with the Nine Hells, vowing rule of law over the balm of a mercy. And there's some other stuff.
Does it end there for you?
No, but I don't know. The Archdevil Bell, Warlords of Avernus count many of these paladins, called Hell Knights, as most ardent supporters. Hell Knights cover their armor with trophies taken from fallen enemies, a grim warning to any of those who dare oppose them, and their decrees of their lords. These knights are often most fiercely resisted by other paladins of this oath who believe that Hell Knights have wandered too far into darkness.
Yeah, so it's Doom, basically. You're a Doom guy. You know, you run around with a chainsaw, cutting demons in half.
I mean, you don't have to be Doom.
No, you don't have to be Doom guy. But, I mean, this is like your Space Marine Paladin. Bro is delivering justice across the universe, you know? Yeah, so, like usual, get spells, they get a channel divinity, get an aura, you know, it's what we're gonna get. I think that's always the case. I don't think I'll be surprised.
Their channel divinity is fairly decent.
Yeah, it's
you
pretty
can
good.
You can frighten everyone in an and a 30-foot radius from you, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's an action, but that's pretty powerful, especially if you're a bunch of against a bunch of little things. They generally fail, and an AOE, 30-foot AOE, frightening a bunch of little things, very powerful.
It's not,
and it's not worthless against not
super awesome, but it becomes cooler because of your level 7 feature.
Yeah,
which
7.
If a creature is frightened of you, its speed is reduced to 0 while in your aura, and they take psychic damage equal to half of your paladin level. It's
so they're just kind of, yeah. If they start their turn in your paladin aura, which they can't move while they're in it, so they kind of just get cooked.
Yeah. So a common thing for people to do is they play a Dragonborn and take the Dragon Fear from Xanathar's.
Which is basically like your channel
Yeah.
divinity already, so you just get more uses of it.
And you could use your Aura of Conquest to essentially stun people, and it's pretty good tanking. It's pretty hard to get to your backline when they can't move.
Yeah.
You
also get Fear, which is pretty good.
Yeah, you do get Fear. You get Guided Strike as a channel divinity as well. It's a bit better on War Clerics because they can use it more than once, but still, if you want to be a Greatsword or Battle Axe user, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Guided Strike is good. It's generally better than turning things. Because turning things is generally pretty situational. Guided Strike is very not situational.
Yeah.
So you could just kind of use it whenever. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, you get an okay feature. 15. People hit you. They take a little bit of psychic damage. You know. It is what it is. At 20, a bit better, I think, than the Ancients one, but you know, you're level 20, so. You have resistance to all damage. Already a pretty good one. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can make an additional attack. So, it's pretty good. Your melee weapon attacks score a crit on a 19 instead of just a 20. So, you know, kind of become a fighter with resistance to all damage. Pretty good. You attack.
Fighter barbarian.
Also, critting is very valuable on paladins because if you get a crit, like you're a battle axe barbarian, you use divine strike with your great weapon fighting. You get a crit, you use a 5th level divine smite. Goes crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of have a problem with how divine smite works, but you know, that's not an issue to be addressed now.
Yeah, I mean, because as it is, it's just a boon for the paladin, so. I would also say this is A tier. It's very good, I think.
Yeah, I put it in A tier. It's a neat idea. It's a cool, like, idea of you are a good, valiant warrior, but it's almost like that next step. If you're very brutal, but you're still like a good. It's a neat lens on a character. Very brutal, good champion of justice.
Yeah. It's good for like a war campaign too, if you're doing one of those.
Yeah, it's a neat combination of like, am I taking it too far? Am I pushing into being a bad guy? Even though I'm doing things for the right reasons and doing. But yeah, it's a fun idea to play with.
Oath of the Crown Paladin. The Oath of the Crown is sworn to the ideals of civilization, be it the spirit of a nation, fealty to a sovereign, or service to a deity of law and rulership. The paladins who swear this oath dedicate themselves to serving society, and in particular, the laws that hold society together. These paladins are the watchful guardians on the walls, standing against the chaotic tides of barbarism that threaten to tear down all that civilization has built, and are commonly known as guardians, exemplars, or sentinels. Often, paladins who swear this oath are members of an order of knighthood in service to a nation or sovereign and undergo their oath as a part of admission to the order's ranks. It's like, I don't know, it's paladin.
It's about you're devoted to a person or a kingdom
Yeah.
more than an ideal.
For me, this isn't how I see Paladin, but also this is kind of like, I mean, like in Final Fantasy XIV, right? This is kind of how you become a Paladin. So.
Yeah, I like this idea because it's I don't know. I kind of like the idea of being like this champion of justice, but you're like devoted to a specific person, like the princess or the king, you know. And your ideals are more based around theirs. It's like, it's not that you have no ideals, but you're like, I defend this guy because he's awesome. You know, I'll do whatever he says because I know he's a good person.
Yeah.
Which I think is a fun idea. I think it's a bit harder to get to work right in a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Um,
Not to mention the stuff they get is a bit harder to work in a D&D campaign. However, we've seen some changes to Compelled Duel in the updated rules. So...
Compelled Duel's cool. I like the idea of Compelled Duel. And
the idea is good. It just...
Compelled Duel is a spell, but they get
work.
Compelled Duel as a
Channel Divinity.
Channel Divinity, essentially.
And it's a
just
spell.
I mean, yeah, they get the spell too. But their other Channel Divinities kind of just an AoE heal, which is pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's not temp HP. It's not a lot of healing, but if multiple people go down and you're the paladin, so you're probably the last one up.
I mean, you get it at one. It's basically
it's an AoE heal.
It's basically mass
healing word.
Healing word.
Huh.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's solid.
Sure.
I mean, it's, you know, it's not as good as some of the other healing stuff that we've already talked about, like from Stars Druid or Twilight Cleric, but, you know, it doesn't have to be broken to be good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And you are more of like a full martial in full blade.
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely more like the idea of this class is you're more of like a support tank, you know? You're there to try to help your allies and tank for them.
Especially with their they don't get an aura like other paladins. This one's a bit different. Where if someone within 5 feet of you takes damage, you can take the damage instead as a reaction. Which can be pretty powerful if you position right. You kind of have to like play around it right, but it can be pretty powerful.
Yeah,
you can prevent key players.
It can be okay.
Use your health as a resource very efficiently.
I do think often you'll run into the issue to where you're taking too much damage, though.
Yeah.
And then...
I mean, it does lean into the idea of the subclass a lot, which I think is cool. And my idea... I always have this idea of the paladin rushes in and then, you know, like, there's like a child or a villager and they're... or someone who's terribly wounded, they rush in with their shield to defend them, and there's like a blast or a fireball, or they get shot by something, you just barely make it there. You take all the damage.
Yeah.
Really neat. Very paladin-y.
Yeah, that's cool. And you could take the, like, Tasha's shield fighting style as well. You could do... Like, this is very much not an archetype that's very like, good in 5e just because of the way the numbers work out, but it is one that's very compelling, I think. It's one that I want to play a lot, despite it being, like, mechanically a little weaker.
Their level 15 feature is pretty lame.
It's alright. Like, you hate to be paralyzed or stunned, so getting advantage on those throws is good, but also, compared to Ancients, 7th level feature, it's nothing, man. I mean...
You gain advantage on being paralyzed and stunned, but I don't know.
Not to mention, compared to Conquest, the 20 is pretty bad, in my opinion, anyway.
Their benefits last for an hour.
It is an hour, which is alright, I suppose. But...
You get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons. Your allies have advantage on death saving throws within 30 feet of you. And you have advantage on wisdom saving throws, as do your allies within 30 feet of you.
I would say commonly,
it's not great.
A minute is long enough for a fight, and an hour is long enough for maybe 2 fights.
Yeah, but you don't generally like do like this is pretty good if you're dungeon running. If you're like
I'm saying even if you're dungeon running, a lot of people after a fight or 2 will be like, well, we got a short rest, right? And that takes like a half an hour. And then after 2 fights and a short rest, like, this shit is gone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing like a few rooms in a row, it's pretty good. But generally, you aren't. Generally, you do a fight, and
it doesn't come up that much.
And then you do another fight.
Where an hour is super good.
An hour is generally good for things that are good
out of combat.
But this isn't. This is only in combat.
Yeah, so...
And at level 20, gaining resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons.
It's not good.
It's not very exciting.
No,
I mean...
everyone at level 20 is gonna have a magical weapon, or they're gonna be hitting you with spells.
Well, I mean, that's not true. I mean, you're always gonna fight, like, beasts.
At level 20? Oh, I guess a Tarrasque, sure.
Like, a Tarrasque doesn't have magical thing. You fight, like... the giga crazy, like, dragons also. But
dragons breathe fire.
They have their breath attacks, but they also have bite and claw attacks that do 1,000,000 damage, and those aren't magical.
I'm not gonna say it's useless, but it's not that good.
It's not that good. Yeah.
Especially compared to Conquest, which is resistance from all damage, and it doesn't specify non-magical.
I think resistance to bludgeoning, non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing isn't worthless, but getting it as a limited level 20 feature...
I'm gonna be real.
Pretty bad.
There's a bit of a pet peeve of mine, actually. A lot of times in 5e, resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing comes up, and I just think it's annoying. I just make it resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing and be done with it. Because so many people have, like, +1 weapons, like, your players, to where a monster on its stat block that's, like, something they're supposed to fight, like, past level 5, being like, I have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, and I'm just like, why is this even here? Like, it just annoys me.
Players always have magical damage past, like, level 5. Maybe upwards to like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of monsters that don't, right? Like there's always relevant monsters. So I don't think it's always irrelevant. Getting it as a level 20 feature is pretty lame, but it's in reference to the players. Things doing non-magical damage is relevant because you fight zombies, you fight big monsters, you fight T-Rex.
Irrelevant. I'd just rather it just be bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing, though. And if I think it's too strong, then to just give it out to less things. So then I just think it'd be less confusing. There's so many damage types in the game. I feel like they don't play around with it enough. Not enough like...
Yeah, that's probably a fair point.
I don't know. But
either way,
yeah.
I think this is a cool archetype.
Yeah,
It's got a...
It's cool. It's fun. It's flavorful. It's not mechanically super strong. I'm thinking B tier.
I'd put it in C tier. It just doesn't quite hit it, I don't think. It's like a neat idea, but it's not quite there.
Alright, whatever. I won't argue. Going it in C tier, I'll put it in C tier. Devotion Paladins. Wow. Yeah, it's your turn. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. The Oath of Devotion binds a paladin to the loftiest ideals of justice, virtue, and order. Sometimes called cavaliers, white knights, or holy warriors, these paladins meet the ideal of the knight in shining armor, acting with honor in pursuit of justice and the greater good. They hold themselves to the highest standard of conduct, and some, for better or worse, hold the rest of the world to the same standards. Many who swear this oath are devoted to gods of law and good and use their gods' tenets as measures of their devotion. They hold angels, the perfect servants of good, as their ideals and incorporate images of angelic wings into their helmets and coats of arms.
Yeah, true.
This one's the paladin.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they are holy warriors, right?
Yeah.
They essentially get their power from the divine, you know. Makes sense.
They're
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Their channel divinities are clunky. Cause they're pretty decent.
Sacred Weapon's pretty good for a turn.
Yeah, but it's clunky because it lasts for a minute. But you have to use an action to set it up. It is very good because you add your charisma to your attack rolls, which you probably have high strength and high charisma.
Yeah.
So if you have like +4 in both, then there's a pretty substantial buff to your attack roll. But it feels bad to use an action to set that up, I feel.
Yeah, if you can figure out a way to do this right before combat, pretty good. Using a turn to do this feels pretty not good. So.
It's not terrible, but it would feel not great. Yeah. I mean, it's not concentration. You could stack it with other things. It's pretty okay. It's just...
Here's the 10,000 IQ. Here you go. You're a dual-wielding paladin, okay? So you attack with your offhand as a bonus action.
You have to attack with your main hand to get to attack with your offhand.
Yeah, after I said that, I realized that didn't work.
Yeah. They get a turn, but their turn is turn fiends and undead. Pretty good things to be able to turn.
True.
And undead. They're the evil things.
Yeah.
So.
It's kind of turn undead. It's slightly better if you're a pure charisma paladin. So, you know, it's something.
Their aura is pretty bad.
Yeah, Aura of Devotion's terrible.
Creatures in 10 feet of you can't be charmed?
Not a lot of monsters charm, and those that do are usually Fae. Not to mention, if you're playing like an elf, this is useless.
And there are a few things like, I believe, Hypnotic Pattern like is a charm effect.
It is, but also
So there's a few spells that reference charm effects.
there's not a lot of
But it's pretty
monsters that'll use
situational.
hypnotic pattern on you, though.
No, there aren't.
I mean,
And
your party
generally,
could stand in a hypnotic pattern and have your party then cast it, and then they'd be immune. That could be something.
not to mention hypnotic patterning, your party's kind of like mean. Because if you're just like, oh, I hypnotic pattern 3 of you, come back in 40 minutes when we're done with the fight.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but if you get hypnotic pattern and then you're all like immune to it, pretty good. You get like dominate person thrown, and you're just immune to it. Pretty good. Smart enemies that know about you probably won't do that, but you don't always. I mean, if you have a good DM, like they're gonna think about whether they would actually know that.
Yeah.
But I feel it's not gonna come up a lot.
Not really.
And having a ever-present, persistent effect that is situational and a big part of your class. Not very good. Feels pretty bad.
At 15, you're pretty good at fighting.
Always under the effects of protection from good and evil is pretty good. When I played this in my Tomb of Annihilation game, our DM made us pick. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. That one's it's more situational, but it's pretty powerful. And because it's Abjuration, Celestials, Elementals, Fae, Fiends, and Undead, I think it'll come up a lot more. There's a lot more situations where that's pretty exciting. So
it makes you really good at fighting things you're really good at.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty fun.
All right.
At
level 20, you become pretty good at fighting vampires, and that's kind of what you get. I mean, not totally, but that's kind of
your sunlight. I mean, things just take damage around you, but everyone with any creature next to you takes 10 radiant damage. And you have advantage on spells. Saving throws against spells by fiends and undead. It's not amazing.
It's a okay. You're good against vampires feature. I mean,
it does kind of make it clunky if you're like, I want to use an action to set it up and an action to use Sacred Weapon.
Yeah, right.
And then you're like, do I want to float 2 turns setting up?
No, you don't. Not only that, but this doesn't give you any resistances or anything. So if you're level 20 and you stand next to the super big bad to give them 10 radiant damage, like, I mean, I guess you don't have to stand right next to them.
I don't think this one's not really worth using. The level 20 feature is pretty bad. But it's a level 20 feature, so it doesn't really matter. Just take a level and fight or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weak. It's
kind of weak. It's kind of interesting, but
you're good at doing things paladins are kind of already good at, but you're not really that much better at it.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to say B, but maybe it should be in C.
I think it's worse than Crown.
Yeah, I'd put in C. Then.
Alright. C it is. Glory. Alright, here we go. Oh, this is a short one. Cool. Oath of Glory. Paladins who take the Oath of Glory. Sorry. Believe they and their companions are destined to achieve glory. Through deeds of heroism, they train diligently and encourage their companions so they're all ready when destiny calls. God. I don't know, man. They're weebs. Like, what
Bruh.
I will be the anime protagonist one day, I believe. You know, evidently, if you're playing in a campaign and you're playing as the subclass, maybe you were right to believe that. So.
This one's pretty good. Their channel divinities are pretty good. Perilous Athlete really depends on your DM on how much they want to give you for it. Because it's just, you get advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks, and then you can push, carry, drag twice as much.
Yeah.
And your jumps are bigger. So if your DM, I feel like your DM could easily go like, I don't know, you use it, you can pick up an elephant. I mean, you could do a lot of fun stuff with it. But if your DM's like, actually, I don't know, you could probably lift like maybe that box.
Well,
then you're not. Then it's worthless.
There is an actual raw calculation to it. So if you're playing it raw, it's pretty good. I mean, it's sort of just powerful build
for carry weight, not for lifting. Not if you're gonna like pick up an elephant. There's not a calculation for that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. There's a calculation for how much you can carry, like how much until you're encumbered.
You can push, drag, or lift a weight in pounds up to twice your carrying capacity, or 30x your strength score. While pushing or dragging weight in excess of your carrying capacity, your speed drops to 5 feet. There you go.
Well, I guess there is rules for it. I was wrong. But yeah, it's pretty. If you can come up with some fun ways to do that, jump around and do stuff. It's 10 minutes, which means you can do some out of combat stuff with it, which is fun.
Yeah, this could be pretty useful in RP, I think. Could be
your
okay in combat too, because it increases your long and high jumps, so you could meme that as like a grong or something, if you really wanted to.
Yeah, less useful, but could be occasionally useful. Your other one is good.
Yeah, it's just pretty good.
You just give temp HP. You can distribute it. You can just give it to a single person.
Yeah, you're gonna use Divine Smite, right? So if you use Divine Smite, you can just give people temp HP.
Immediately after you deal damage with Divine Smite, you give people temp HP. Yeah, and it's anyone. You can distribute it any way you want to any creatures within 30 feet, which could just be you. So you could just be tanking Divine Smite and then just gain some health back to continue tanking. Or you could protect someone nearby. It's not very situational. You can kind of just use it.
Yeah.
Which means, I think, makes the Perilous Athlete better. Because Perilous Athlete you don't want to use all the time, but could be cool for RP and could be used out of combat. But if you don't need to do that, you can just use Inspiring Smite, which is good.
Yep. It's just solid.
Your aura is just anyone who starts their turn within 10 feet of you gets movement.
They go faster. Yeah.
They go faster. They get 5.
It's solid. Once again,
they get 10 feet of movement, which does just mean your movement just increases by 10 feet.
Sure does.
Which is pretty good, and increasing your teammates. It's just kind of good. Their level 15 features, they can give, as a reaction, they can give an ally within 10 feet of them a C, causing the attack to miss. Equal to your charisma mod, so it's like a shield.
Or you
reaction.
As well.
You can give it to yourself too, yeah. And then if it misses, you get to hit that person.
And you could use it up to your charisma mod. So
yeah, I don't know, it's pretty good.
It's sorta like if you're going 20 charisma at least. 5 shields plus an attack sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using it on yourself, it's almost always an attack, I'd say.
Well, if it's a ranged attack. I have to be
Oh, I guess, yeah, you can use it on anything.
But
But
still pretty good.
you
I
do
would say.
want to be mean to people. You could save it for that ideal.
Yeah, it's just kind of solid.
It's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Cool.
Your
Level 20.
level 20 is you get advantage on correct checks for a minute.
Wahoo.
Whenever you make a weapon attack and it misses, you can just say it didn't instead. Once per turn. And if you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to re-roll it. It's pretty good. The charisma checks, who cares? Because it's like a combat feature. So doing charisma checks at advantage in combat doesn't really matter. But you just don't miss attacks anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And
you might not always do the saving throw thing, but to be fair, the reaction that it's competing for with your level 15 feature is it doesn't really like overlap too badly. So if you're hit by like a melee attack, you use Glorious Defense. If you're hit by a spell, you use this. It's not that bad.
It's pretty good. This Paladin is good.
It's pretty good.
Just all of its features are good.
Yeah, I think Aura of Alacrity. Well, okay, to be fair, I don't know if this subclass is underrated because I am not constantly plugged in. I feel like it's less talked about than other subclasses. But I would say through the combination of like Peerless Athlete and Aura of Alacrity, you can do some really good stuff.
Swear, whenever I hear about like powerful builds, I hear about subclasses, I hear like Stars Dread, I hear like whenever I hear about a class, it's always referencing the subclass. And then it's except Paladin. Paladin's just like, oh, I just built a Paladin.
Yeah. It's just Paladin.
I Paladin them. So
just like, what kind of Paladin are you? It's, you know, to be fair, I'm gonna use Divine Smite with a great sword probably, so I don't think it matters that much.
I don't know, I put this one in S tier. It's pretty good. Just all of its features are good. I want them all.
I don't think it's better than Ancients or Conquest, but I do think it's at least as good. So I'm willing to put it in A tier.
I mean, I think it's better than them.
I mean, I guess that's fair. Movement speed is pretty good, but like resistance to damage against all spells is pretty sick as well.
Yeah.
But also the level 20 feature, not that it adds too much to a Paladin, because it's a level 20 feature. Conquest is definitely still better, I think.
Yeah, but they're level 20 features. They don't matter.
Yeah. That's just, it's my opinion.
I mean, it is better. But...
So, I don't know. I think it should go with Ancients and Conquest, because I think it's around that level.
Fair.
Oathbreaker Paladins. Wahoo!
The next?
Pretty sure this is the next one. Yeah, you're here. As you.
Oh, it just kind of feels like something we should do last.
You know, it's next.
I guess we're going in alphabetical order. An Oathbreaker is a paladin who breaks his or her sacred oaths to pursue some dark ambition or serve an evil power. Whatever light burned in the paladin's heart has been extinguished. Only darkness remains.
Yeah, so this class is kind of a gimmick. Sort of. You can just be an Oathbreaker and no one's telling you you can't, right? You just play a Paladin, you're an Oathbreaker, that's fine. But the idea is you were another Paladin, but you decided that your tenets were wrong and you wanted to become evil instead, and through like darkness and despair, you became an Oathbreaker. It shows itself a bit more mechanically in like Baldur's Gate, but I think it's kind of annoying in Baldur's Gate.
Well,
Despite it
'cause
being cool storytelling-wise, but...
my problem with Oathbreaker is it's really like... It feels like a paladin was devoted to this cause of rice and they were devoted to specific oaths of justice, and at some point they had to sacrifice on them, and they were like they see the world maybe a bit darker or a bit differently, and now they don't have the powers from their oath and there's something else, and it's so like comically evil. It's not like I was devoted to the crown and now I walk my own path. It's not I was devoted to unshakable, like no one, if you've done evil, you're evil and there's no room for redemption. It's just for the
Bro,
greater
what are you
good.
talking
And I
about?
have
There's an
to do
Oath
that.
of Redemption Paladin. It's coming up
I
next.
know. But some of them are not very, or some of them are like, you can always be redeemed. And someone can always be redeemed, and then you find can't. It's not like that. It's, I'm summoning evil and dead and stabbing you to death laughing maniacally.
Well, yeah.
It's not like, it's just giga evil.
Yeah, you give up your oath to become evil, essentially. I mean, that's the flavor of it, I guess.
But you could be evil, right? Like, they talk about that in Conquest.
Yeah.
In Conquest, they talk about how some go as far as to serve devils in the 9 hells.
Sure. Yeah.
And other paladins are, like, abhorrent of them. Like, these terrible guys have gone way too far. And that's, like, a cool way to do it. And I think this is just... You get to control undead, you can be scary, which is terrible. Your dreadful aspect is worthless.
The control undead is usually useless. Cause you can't use it if the CR is equal to you or greater. So...
I hate it when things reference CR.
You know? That's just because CR is, written bad.
CR is a tool to estimate things on a DM's level in reference to other CR. It's a bad game mechanic. Like, as in, you are specifically referencing this.
Well, yeah, if you're playing
it.
as an Oathbreaker Paladin, yeah, you don't fight like a zombie and go, oh, what's his CR, right? Like, thinking about that as a character doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But,
it's just for the DM to, like, balance fights and, like, go... And it's not always... They're level 8, they have to fight a CR8 fight. But it's just sort of like, I know how strong my party is, I've had them fight other things, and in reference, they vaguely said that this CR8 creature is vaguely weaker than the CR9 creature, which is useful. And that's what it's for. And I don't like the players go looking at the CR going, I need the CR! I mean, druids kind of have to, but they're sort of very limited, so it's less of a problem.
Yeah.
I just kind of hate this class.
I don't. But, no, I can understand it. Control Undead isn't very good. Dreadful Aspect, once again, not super good. It's definitely worse than Conquest because it doesn't get the aura that makes it do something. They get a pretty good level 7 feature. You know, they just do extra damage equal to their charisma mod. It's pretty good. Classic Paladin build is you just take 7 levels of Oathbreaker and then you take a Hexblade dip and all of your damage is immense because you just are a 20 charisma character.
The other half of this, though, is you're doing this necrotic damage. You're summoning undead. You're this terrifying monster. You do extra necrotic damage to things near you, but you're still doing Radiant Divine Strike. You still have Lay on Hands.
You don't
You're still
the Aura of Hate doesn't do necrotic It just does weapon.
Oh, well, you're still doing Radiant Divine Smites. You still have the normal Paladin spell list.
Yeah, but
You
they
still have
give you
Divine
Hellish
Health and
Rebuke,
Aura
Inflict
of Protection.
Wounds.
You have Aura of Protection, you have Cleansing Touch, you have Lay on Hand.
Hmm.
It, like, doesn't go far enough, I feel, for you to be Gig Evil.
I mean,
But I also feel like it would be more interesting if you weren't good Gig Evil.
I like to mess with base class features when I make subclasses because I think it's fun. I don't think Wizards ever does that, and I don't know if they ever will. But I agree, if they change like Lay on Hands and Divine Strike to be like more evil flavored, this class would be a lot cooler, for sure.
Like, just play a Warlock.
Well, you essentially are playing a Warlock, right?
Yeah, but just play a Warlock instead.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You literally just multi-class Warlock when you play this class.
You would just do that. I don't like it. Angry. Put it in F tier.
Okay, no, but I haven't even talked about their Dreadlord yet.
The Dreadlord is as an action like we can become lame.
They make things darker. If you're frightened of the Paladin, you take a ton of psychic damage.
40-10 isn't a ton.
It's a pretty good amount for every turn, whenever they're frightened. Like, that's not something they have to do. 40-10's a good amount.
Yeah, but they don't get fear. So the only way for them to do that is
Their channel divinity.
their channel divinity, which is bad. Which they have to use an action to use, then they have to use an action to go into this.
Well, they get Wrathful Smite or whatever that fears.
I guess.
Yeah. Then, you drape people in shadow. Ooh. And then they get disadvantage on attack rolls if they rely on sight. Wow. And you can use a bonus action to cause the shadow aura to attack someone. That does, like, not super a lot of damage. But to be fair, it adds up, alright? If they're in your shadow aura and are frightened, which is kind of a bit of an if here, you could do a crap ton of damage every turn with this. They also get resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical weapons again. Whoa, I love that. I love non-magical weapons. Fog. I heard rumors they're removing that from the update, which I would be happy about, but they might not. Whatever. You'd put this class in F tier out of spite, but where would you put it if you pretended that it wasn't lame?
D tier.
Bruh, that's crazy. D tier? It's not that bad. It does pretty good damage.
You don't want to do damage. You have Divine Smite to do damage. You don't want to do damage. This is like Whisper's Bar.
Yeah, but the thing is you can still use Divine Smite because your level 7 feature doesn't require you to do anything. It just gives you 5 damage.
Yeah.
For free.
But I should just be a different Paladin. It's not interesting narratively, so I don't care. And mechanically, you should just be a better support because that's why you're playing Paladin. If you wanted to do more damage, you should fighter because you do more damage.
I don't know. I think being a damage paladin's a lot of fun.
Then play Conquest.
Oh, I would probably play Conquest instead of Oathbreaker, but that doesn't mean that it's bad.
It's the bait. All of its features are bait.
They're not baits, bro. What are you talking about?
This is Whispers.
Bro is saying if you pick a cleric, you have to take all the healing shit, otherwise you're not playing a cleric.
No.
Which is just not true. Like, you can be like an evil character and think that Oathbreaker's a good pick.
I'll go. is C tier.
I will accept this. If that's the best I can get, I will take it. I'll take C tier.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Well, you know, it's not that bad. Come on.
There's nothing interesting there.
Is it my turn or your turn, by the way?
Interesting character. I think it's my turn.
Okay. Sounds
What are
good.
we on?
Redemption.
The Oath of Redemption sets a paladin on a difficult path, one that requires a holy warrior to use violence only as a last resort. Paladins who dedicate themselves to this oath believe that any person can be redeemed, and the path of benevolence and justice is one that anyone can walk. These paladins face evil creatures in hopes of turning their foes to the light, and they slay their enemies only when such a deed will clearly save other lives. Paladins who follow this path are known as Redeemers. While Redeemers are idealists, they are no fools. Redeemers know that undead, demons, devils, and other supernatural threats can be inherently evil. Against such foes, paladins who swear this oath bring the full wrath of their weapons and spells to bear. Yet the Redeemers still pray that one day even creatures of wickedness will invite their own redemption.
This is sort of like Crown a little bit. In a way, this is like supposed to be a full support paladin. I think the idea is that this is the healer paladin, but you don't actually like heal people.
I think it's supposed to be a healer, but they don't have anything that gives. I mean, they've got like the crown feature where you can take damage instead of someone within 10 feet of you, which is just better than crown because crown is 5 feet.
Rebuke the Violent can, in theory, be very funny and do a lot of damage.
Your reaction, wisdom on us. Yeah, you just, it's pretty cool. You get hit by like a dragon, by like a big dragon bite, and then you take like 80 damage, live on, retaliate, and they take 80 damage. You just both explode. That's kind of awesome.
It's kind of funny. Also, Emissary of Peace is kind of just better than the one of the features of the level 20 Glory Paladins thing.
Yeah,
Plus 5 is on average better than advantage. So.
Yeah. It's not a spell, too, so it doesn't run into the things, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not like Friends.
Your DM might be mean and go, it's obvious, but I would assume that unlike using like things like Bardic Inspiration and Guidance and Friends and Charm Person are pretty obvious that you're doing unless you're subtle spelling them. And this wouldn't be. This is just, you get a +5 because you're awesome.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes.
It's pretty alright. The spells you get, mostly bad. You get Counterspell and Hypnotic Pattern. Actually, I lied. They're mostly good.
Whoa, Counterspell. What?
Although, to be fair, using Counterspell as a paladin is kind of bad. Because you can't ever use a Counterspell of a similar level. So...
Yeah, Upcast, but Counterspell, I don't know.
You'd usually have to make a check for it whenever you use it.
Yeah, but I don't know. That's kind of hype.
It's cool that they get it, but they also have less spell slots. I don't know. It's hard for me to justify.
You don't need the spell slots as much, so you just hold them and see a cool moment, and you counterspell, and maybe it doesn't work, but I feel like if it doesn't work, it's not that big of a deal, right? If I am a wizard counterspell, I care more about that slot, and I have to think about, like, what do I want to do? Like, it's more of my purpose to do that. But if I'm a paladin, I throw it out I counterspell something big, and I'm like, woo, that's awesome. But if I don't, then I feel like it's not that big of a deal. Oh well, I tried.
Oh, I
I'm a
guess.
wizard. I'm like, damn.
And not to mention, you're still a paladin, so you have your aura, so you have good saves. So it's like, I don't know.
I feel like it's pretty hype.
It's cool that they get it. I just don't know if it's ever gonna be super worth casting. They also get Hypnotic Pattern, which is good. Resilient Sphere and Stone Skin kind of blow, honestly. Yeah, I wish they didn't, but no.
You could put yourself in a hamster ball. That's cool.
Yo, you're right.
But more accurately, one of your party members is gonna get laser beamed or fall into lava, or there's like a random like townsperson that's gonna die. You put them in a resilient sphere. They're safe.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Put them in a hamster ball.
But they also get Wall of Force though later, which is better and good. Always good. Old Monster also very good. So you know, pretty decent spell list actually.
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. I didn't realize their spells are so good. I like
Aura of the Guardian. Yeah. It's just that other feature.
But better, because that one was within 5 feet, this one's within 10.
Oh, that's true. It is better. Still a reaction, but it's not that bad.
Their level 15 Major is really good. They just heal at the end of their turn if they aren't at half.
It's the same thing as the Champion Fighter thing.
It's very good, though.
I don't know if the numbers are competitive with the Champion Fighter thing. I can check real quick.
Sure.
At 18th, they get 5 plus their con mod. So this is better than that.
This is better. And you get it at 15.
Yeah, you get it earlier and it's better.
Yeah.
Which, it's alright. It's not bad.
15's a lot more of a real...
I will say...
than 18th.
On the other class, the other subclass that got the you can take damage instead thing, it is usually not optimal to do that in D&D, even though it's kind of a cool moment. Because you get Protective Spirit as a 15th level character, it actually makes it much more, like, viable to do that. Because, I mean, you'll heal, so you're actually taking less damage than the rest of your team. So, it's good shit.
Yeah. Also, their level 20 is just you have resistance to all damage.
Yeah.
You don't need to turn it on. You just are resistant to all damage. And if you're hit with an attack, they take damage.
Half the damage that you took, which is not going to be that much because you have resistance to all damage, but you know.
Yeah, but a lot of things that aren't your level can't fight you. You could just stand there.
Although it does not work anymore if you attack a creature, cast a spell on it, or deal damage to it. So.
Oh, that's the caveat. It's still pretty good. But it's just against that creature, right? So if there's a bunch of creatures, you can focus down one. And all the others can't hit you, essentially.
Yeah.
If you're just playing support, you're focusing on moving your allies around, healing them.
Not to mention, you can use spells on your allies as well, so it's fine.
And you can just sit there and take damage for them. And heal at the end of your turn.
I mean, at 20, this class is invincible and makes the rest of your team pretty hard to kill, too. However, I will note, that's a level 20, it's a level 20 Paladin. And
yeah, but all of its features are pretty good. I feel like this Paladin's
you got
the best here. It's so good.
No, it isn't.
Come on, it's
It
better
isn't.
than all the other paladins.
No, it isn't.
It's better than ancients.
It's definitely worse than ancients.
What are you talking about?
If you are a level 10 paladin, you are just a worse paladin than ancients.
No.
Yes.
No.
Sometimes Rebuke the Violent is
You have
funny,
yeah, and
but
sometimes
then you're
you
just a worse paladin than
counterspell-
ancients.
Sometimes you counterspell a Finger of Death.
You're not gonna. You're
Sometimes
not
you
gonna
do.
counterspell a Finger of Death.
Sometimes you.
It's not gonna happen.
Finger of Death, 7th level spell? You have to roll.
Look,
what, you get a 17.
you're
with a
viewing this
+5?
from the angle of a spellcasting paladin, and you're like, oh, it would be cool to be like a spellcasting paladin that doesn't attack anyone and is just really defensive and is just a support. And it's just like, yeah, that fantasy is kind of cool, but the thing is they don't get more spell slots and they don't get to cast any of these spells for free. Paladins do not get the ability to do all of these things whenever they want.
No, which is why having counterspell is good. Because it doesn't eat into your action economy of being a marshal.
It does, though,
At
if you're
all.
blocking damage, because counterspell's a reaction.
Yeah, but counterspell blocks damage.
Yeah, but if you are, like, if a creature within 10 feet of you takes damage, you can use a reaction to take the damage, right? You're not going to use that if you use counterspell instead.
Yeah, not that turn, but there's no uses on taking damage for other people. You don't want to take damage for your team every turn. Only when it matters, like you're saving someone's life, or you're really healthy. People aren't hitting you, and they're trying to focus someone else. You don't want to do that every turn.
That's true. You're good at
And
persuasion, too.
Counterspell's
Nice.
a good one. Yeah, it's good. It's
But it, I don't know. I stand by it. I think it's not as good. At level 20, it's competitive with the others. At level 10, I don't think it's as good.
level 15. It's better than the others.
Definitely isn't. Level 15 is a good feature, but like, let me look at. But it's not
The
that
channel
good.
divinities are better than Glory, Conquest, and Ancients channel divinities.
I don't know if that's even true though, because Glory's channel divinities I think are just as good, depending on the character you want to play. Because you're gonna be using a Divine Smite anyway, so giving out temp HP for essentially free, once per short rest, is good. It's real good.
Yeah, but Ancients
And
suck.
Peerless Athletes is good.
I think you're overvaluing Ancients.
I'm not overvaluing Ancients. It's just Ancients level 7 is really overpowered. But the rest of it isn't that good. The thing is you're playing to level 10 on most playthroughs.
Yeah, on level 10 you have Counterspell, which is hype.
It's
This is
pretty
easily-
good.
Easily better than these.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it's like worlds better, but better enough that it should be.
I think it's good to a point to where I think it's as good as the others, but I don't think it's better. Like, even if I think it's better, I don't think it's S tier better, because I look at my S tier classes here and I'm like, this is not like Giant Barbarian, this is not Rune Knight Fighter, this is not Stars Druid.
I feel like it is.
It is not. Redemption is not that good.
It's just the best way you could play Paladin, and Paladin's good.
Yeah, but I don't agree with that. That's not the way I want to play Paladin. I want to play Paladin with a two-handed maul. I want to use 5th level Divine Smites. I want to save for the glory of the motherland, and I want to conquer nations. Like, that's what I'm playing Paladin for. If I want to be like a dainty little healer, I want to be a cleric.
I'm playing Paladin to be a redemption Paladin. This is the ideal Paladin.
I don't know, man.
Well, fine. Leave it there. Leave it there. Coward.
I I don't think it's good enough to be an S tier. I'm sorry. It does not breach the is this Mercy Monk or Rune Knight fighter. Like, it does not pass the sniff test for me.
Fine. Fine.
Did you do the last one or did I? I am not keeping track.
I don't know. Too disappointed.
Whatever. To be disappointed.
What's the next one?
I'll just do it. Whatever. Oath of Vengeance. The Oath of Vengeance is a solemn commitment to punish those who have committed grievous sin when evil forces slaughter helpless villagers, when an entire people turns against the will of the gods, when thieves' guilds grow too violent and powerful, when a dragon rampages through the countryside. All at times like these paladins arrive and swear an oath of vengeance to set right which has gone wrong. These paladins, sometimes called Avengers or Dark Knights, their own purity is not as important as delivering justice. Right off the bat, just gonna get this out of the way, I think this is sorta just Oathbreaker, but the storytelling is good instead of bad.
Wow.
That's just my opinion, but you know, like, you can be an edgy paladin and not be garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah, another damage paladin. They get haste in 9th level type.
Haste, they get Misty Step, they get Hunter's Mark, they get Dimension Door, Hold Monster. Those are cool spells to have on a paladin.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter's Mark is not bad if you are not using any of your smite spells, but if you are, you can't use it.
Yeah, but you can use Divine Smites.
You can, and Divine Smites plus Hunter's Mark is pretty solid.
I don't know that having Hunter's Mark is insane, but it's cool.
Yeah, especially at 3rd level, you have 2 first level spell slots. You use one on Hunter's Mark, one on Divine Smite, and you're like, alright, well.
I mean, it's not crazy, but it's definitely cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's aight. Misty Step is very good on a paladin. It's all, very, very good indeed. Hold Monster is pretty good. Scrying, who asked, to be honest, but you know, whatever. It kind of makes sense. They're kind of like the Ranger Paladin. They go and look for people to hunt them down. So scrying works, like, flavorfully, but like, whatever. Yeah. Abjure Enemy. It's one of those frightened things again.
Except way better.
It's way better, but also it's not AoE.
Yeah.
So
It's way stronger against the single target.
You know, it's something. Vow of Enmity, on the other hand, very good. Play Great Weapon Master, Greatsword Paladin. You get advantage on the creature for a minute. So
yeah, I mean, it's just Vow of Enmity.
Yeah, it's good. It's a bonus action.
Alright. Is this a spell or is this not a spell? It's not a spell.
No. I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah, very, very good. Their level 7 features kind of terrible.
It's really weird.
It's very strange.
It is good, but the caveat is it's good if you have Polar Master. If you don't, it's really niche and weird. But if you have Polar Master, you can chase people around.
Half your speed is a reaction? Or half your speed when you make an opportunity attack? Generally, when you make an opportunity attack, like, I mean, I guess the implication is they run away from you. They complete their move action.
Yeah.
And you hit them, and then you follow them. Which I assume is how you...
Yeah.
You wouldn't play it as you'd move in the middle of their move action. but
it is a pretty low ASI way of playing, I guess, unless you're a variant human. But
don't
classic Marshall of Polearm Master, Great Weapon Master. It's pretty solid here. It's as good here as anywhere else. Maybe even better.
Polearm Master. It's disgusting.
It's not that bad.
Disgusting.
No, actually, I take that back. I think Polearm Master's cool. I think just because you can do Polearm Master Sentinel cheese doesn't make one or the other lame. It just makes them both together kind of lame. That's just my opinion.
You don't get an aura though, which is kind of unfortunate.
I mean, you still have an aura, but you don't get like a special aura, yeah, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah. Soul of Vengeance, you have a 15 feature.
It kind of directly. Okay, it's useless. I'm just gonna say it that way. It's useless. If you're playing,
your reaction to make a weapon attack against a creature when your Vow of Amity makes attack.
If you're
okay, but the fact that you have your level 7 feature as well means they're competing with each other a lot.
Yeah, if you're playing for opportunity attacks, you're not using this because you're gonna try to make an opportunity attack every turn if you can. If you're not using your level 7 feature at all. So, it's bad. But you know, level 20, it's pretty cool. You get wings, you get a flying speed of 60 feet for an hour.
Yeah.
You get an aura of menace to become frightened. And your attack rolls have advantage.
Everything within 30 feet of you has to roll a wisdom save against frighten for a minute or until it takes damage. They don't get a save if they don't take damage, which is interesting. It's not generally how things work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty interesting.
I mean, you know, you get wings. It's not the strongest level 20, but, you know.
It's cool. It's an hour, and it's not worthless like the other one that's an hour, because you get a fly speed.
Yeah.
Which you could actually use out of combat.
True.
Yeah. I don't know.
I understand why people take a 3-level dip in this, because it's kind of bad.
Vow of Amity, very good. 7th level feature, 15th level.
Even your 20th level feature, while good, is a 20th level Paladin feature, and there's better. And
it gets cool spells, but
yeah.
Getting cool spells is not really a primary concern when you're playing Paladin. It's more of a secondary thing.
Yeah.
Could you not getting a lot of them? I don't know. It's okay. I mean, you dip this as a rogue. Pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I don't know. Like, does it deserve to be in B? Maybe not.
Yeah, like, you can kind of multi-class this to make it work. On its own, it's not very good. It has, like, kind of a pretty cool flavor. I don't know, man. C or B?
I'd put it in B. I feel like it's better than the ones put in C.
Alright, I'm putting it in B. Yeah, it's not that impressive, but, you know, it's here. Alright, Watchers Paladins, the last one. It's you.
The Oath of Watchers binds Paladins to protect mortal realms. Predations of extraplanar creatures, many of which can lay waste to mortal soldiers. Thus, the Watchers hone their minds, spirits, and bodies to be ultimate weapons against such threats. Paladins who follow the Watcher's Oath are ever vigilant in spotting the influence of extraplanar forces, often establishing a network of spies and informants to gather information and unsuspected cults. To a watcher, keeping a healthy suspicion and awareness about one's surrounding is as natural as wearing armor.
Yeah.
Uh,
You know, pretty cool.
It's a neat idea.
It's a cool character to have, like, in a campaign. I mean, like, as written, at least. To play? Not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool NPC. Pretty cool, like, but I feel like it's pretty hard to get this to work in a campaign. I mean, you can just be. It's a neat idea. You could make it work because it's a fun idea to have like a paladin that's not like bright and shining, but also isn't like this battle hardened conquest guy, and is more of like dark and afraid, like vigilant, this almost like rangery, death knighty type guy.
Yeah.
Kind of a neat idea. Their channel divinities are.
I mean, they have turn, but kind of less useful because it's things that you see less. I mean, fiends are still in there.
Abjuration, Celestials, Elemental, Fae, and Fiends. Yeah, is a bit more situational without Undead being in there. Which, I mean, makes sense for the class, but...
Yeah, Watcher's Will's pretty good.
Watcher's Will is pretty good.
I mean, you just set this up at the beginning of combat. It's solid.
Yeah. I mean, advantage on Intelligence, Wisdom, and most of the saving throws that you want.
It is annoying, though, because you take your first turn to do this in combat, in theory, right? And then everyone on your party has to remember, if they make any of these saving throws, that they have advantage because of your thing.
We're reminding.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's not very clean, for sure.
Your aura is, you get a bonus
This is very good.
To initiative? It's okay.
It's very good. Giving... Okay, in theory, if you and your party are all, like, camping out together and you're all sleeping in a relatively close-knit area, and this works, giving everyone, like, essentially, like, a +3 to initiative is very solid. Like, if your whole team gets to go before an enemy goes, especially if it's, like, one guy, that's an enormous advantage. Like, it's huge.
I guess.
Like, an initiative is definitely a strong thing to have. That's why the, Paragon build is so powerful.
Yeah, but I mean, you have your fighter and he'll 4, and then he gets a 7 instead. Like,
could help. If
it
only matters
if it matters, right? Like, if you're getting better, than
it'll usually always matter, I think, because if the DM is rolling like 5 creatures, right? If one of them rolls a 5 and then your fighter rolls a 4 and then he gets a 7, he goes before him.
But by like if it's a longer battle, turn 2 or 3, like, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't really matter anymore.
I mean, it still matters by turn 2, I think, but on turn 3 it doesn't matter that much. But if it's multiple enemies, there's a good chance that if you all went, you dispatched 1 or 2 of them already, so you're already ahead. If it's one enemy and it's still alive for that long, then it doesn't really matter that much. But there's not a ton of fights where there's one enemy and it lasts 3 turns against an entire party by itself, unless it does like some spell shit. But I don't know. Not to say it never comes up, but I do think it's a good feature.
It's okay. And then your 15th is just whenever someone succeeds at a saving throw, you can
It's a reaction to deal damage.
deal damage to that thing.
It sorta stacks with your Channel Oath.
Yeah, it's kind
You
of...
know, you give them advantage on wisdom saves, they make the wisdom save, then you're like, haha, take like 7 force damage. Like, oh no.
And then your level 20 feature, I mean, it's not a lot of damage. For level 15, your level 20 is a bonus action, so it's not a huge action economy dump.
True Sight.
But
Pretty good.
you get True Sight 120 feet.
Advantage on attack rolls against stuff that, you know, this character wants to fight, I guess. Pretty decent.
When you hit with an attack roll, they have to make a charisma save, or they're banished to their native plane.
It's pretty solid.
You just whack.
Definitely one of the better things you can get as a level 20 paladin. I mean, so long as you're not in a place that they can't be banished to. But, you know.
As long as you're not in their home plane.
Yeah.
Okay, Celestials. Aberrations.
It's real solid. Yeah, they just go home. Like, nah. Goodbye. Your DM's having you fight like an archangel or something as the final boss. You walk in as a level 20 paladin. They failed a charisma save. The boss fight's over.
I feel like your DM would probably consider that.
Nah, I mean, they'd use a legendary resistance, let's be honest. But, you know.
It's every attack, though.
There's a lot. I mean, obviously, if you're at the point to where you got a level 20 paladin to level 20 and you're fighting like an archangel, you probably put more thought into it than that. But to be fair, I think it would be fine as long as it's not instantaneously to be like, oh wow, you picked the right tool for the thing, so good job, you're rewarded for it.
I mean, you can make a moment about it, but you probably don't want the final boss to be, oh, we won. I hit him, he's gone.
Yeah, but you know.
The class is decent. Teachers are pretty whelming, but they're good. They're pretty good. But they're not great.
They're good.
I'd put it in B.
I put it in A. I think it's as good as the other things in A.
I don't.
I don't know.
But
I do. I think Watcher's Will is pretty solid. They get Moonbeam. They also get Counterspell. You love Counterspell.
I didn't look at their spell list. I never look at the spell list for Paladin.
I see.
Moonbeam's cool. Alarm and Detect Magic are interesting. You can't...
Detect Magic is very useful.
You can't Ritual Cast it, which is kind of a shame. Either of them, but See Invisibility is decent.
I mean, if you take
Counterspell is, I think, cool to have.
the Ritual spell, the Ritual Caster feat, you can. And then you could take Conjure Familiar as well. Pretty good. Summon
They
Familiar.
get Scry. Kind of fun.
Yeah, another Hold Monster one. It's pretty good. Or Purity.
Bad, but also I think in the Paladin spell list already, so just...
It is, but you get it for free. Just something.
It's also bad. It's pretty cool. They get good spells. I mean, I'll allow it. I'd put it in B still.
I'd put it in A, but I don't know. I'm gonna put it in A. I just think I don't know, I think you're underestimating the initiative aura, and also
I don't
just
think the initiative aura is
raw being able to send like an Archdevil back to Avernus in one attack in the first turn of combat because you went first because you have a good initiative. Pretty funny. Also, Vigilant Rebuke's okay. You're probably not going to be using your reaction for a lot other than that anyway. It's his class, so.
I mean, yeah.
Not to mention, you have the baseline Paladin Aura, so if people are standing next to you,
True.
and then you give them your int charisma wisdom save thing, your team is sort of like immortal to spells. So you just
Yeah,
get
kinda.
free damage every turn, too.
I'll allow it. I feel like it's not very clean, but
It isn't. It's not, like, the most cohesive paladin, but I do think mechanically it's pretty solid. Its features all work, even if the flavoring's a little somewhere else.
well,
Yeah, I don't know.
that's
There
all
you
the
go.
paladins.
There's paladins. They're all in A or C tier. There you go. There's the paladins.
Against my will.
Well, it was always kind of gonna be like this, though. At least in my opinion. Your will ignored or not, because I think paladins just don't get that much from subclasses. So if they get something, they're in A tier, and if they don't get much, they're in C tier. It's kind of the rules.
If they're an affront to my existence, they should be in F tier where they belong.
Look, I understand that you don't like being cartoonishly evil for evil's sake, but you know, sometimes people have fun doing so. So you know, it's an option. Like necromancy wizard is an option. And like spores druid.
Those have some more intrigue in them than you have evil tattooed to your forehead.
I feel like a necromancy wizard has evil tattooed to their
A
forehead.
necromancy wizard is probably has evil tattooed on your forehead, but they could not. I've heard of some cool ways to do necromancy wizard that isn't that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I don't think there really is a way to get around.
The next episode's gonna be real good though, because we're doing rangers, and because ranger was so bad in the base PHB, they gave them really cool subclasses. Maybe some of them are too good, but whatever.
I want to play a ranger.
Me too. Rangers are cool. Anyway.
You played a ranger.
Yeah, I know, but I want to play another one.
Like recently.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.